My beloved child, there are things in your life that seem to have been touched by darkness and made distorted. But I want you to remember that my hand has the power to turn what seemed painful into a source of blessing, and what seemed like loss into the beginning of grace. What the enemy tried to use to discourage you, I can use to make your heart stronger. What it sowed as seeds of division, I can uproot from the soil of your heart and replace with tender shoots of forgiveness, patience, and mercy. Remember the story of Joseph, who was sold by his own brothers in humiliation, misunderstood, forgotten in a dark prison, yet in the end became the one who saved his entire family during a famine. When he met again those who had wounded him, Joseph did not allow bitterness to rule, but said that what man intended for harm, God used for good. Do you see? I do not only heal wounds, I can also turn the very place that once bled into a place where life flows. Therefore, with your family as well, I will not allow the present trials to become the final ending. I will weave again the frayed cords of family affection, and I will take the fragments of misunderstanding to create a new picture of grace and love. If you continue to place everything in my hands and do not let your heart close, my child, every family passes through seasons of warmth and seasons of cold wind. There are days when laughter rises as easily as birdsong at dawn. There are also days when the house becomes quiet, when every word must be chosen carefully because each person carries a private weariness within. Do not conclude, because of one gloomy season, that light has left your home. Do not think, because of one dry period, that the stream of love has run dry. I am the one who set the sun in the sky, and I am also the one who knows when the earth needs rain. When the seed must lie deep in darkness to prepare for sprouting, there is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens. Ecclesiastes 3:1. When you have not yet seen fruit, it does not mean I am not working. When you have not yet heard an apology, it does not mean I have not touched the conscience. When you have not yet seen change, it does not mean the human heart is not being quietly plowed by me. There are miracles that do not come like thunder and lightning, but like dawn, very slowly, very gently. Yet nothing can stop the light from rising when the appointed time has come. Therefore, my child, learn to trust in the days when you have not yet seen results. The farmer does not dig up the seed every morning to see whether it has grown. He waters, waits, tends the soil, removes the weeds, and entrusts the hidden part to the one who gives life. You must do the same. Do not injure what I am healing through your impatience. Do not use blame to force a flower to bloom, nor use cold silence to punish those whom I desire to heal. Keep sowing what is good. Keep speaking gentle words. Keep interceding for your loved ones, even when they do not yet understand you. Keep placing each person by name before me, like a mother bringing her sick child to the feet of Jesus, believing that just one word from heaven is enough to change an entire life. Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Galatians 6:9. That word is not only for the fields outside, but also for the sacred soil within your home. I know there are times when you want to say so much, to explain everything fully, to make others understand your pain immediately. But my beloved, not every battle in the family is won by arguments, and not every door of the heart is opened by a loud voice. There are doors that open only when you kneel down. There are chains that break only when you forgive in silence. There are walls that fall only when you stop throwing stones and begin to pray. The enemy does not tremble before your angry words, because such words often only help it dig the divide even deeper. But it trembles when one of my children, though their eyes are still wet, lifts their hands and declares that this house belongs to God. It is not afraid of silence filled with resentment, but it must retreat before prayer that springs from faith. The prayer of a righteous person is powerful and effective. James 5:16. Therefore, use your mouth as an altar, not as a battlefield. Let every word you speak become a fragrance rising to me, not dark smoke that suffocates those you love. Remember the story of the Shunammite woman, when the child she had received as a gift from God suddenly collapsed and died in her arms. She had every reason to complain, to despair, to say that the promise had been shattered, yet she did not surrender herself to chaos. She laid the child on the bed of the prophet, shut the door, and went to seek the man of God. When she was asked whether everything was well, she answered, "It is well. Do you understand this?" It was not because the situation had already become good, but because she knew where to bring her pain. Faith is not the denial of tears. Faith is knowing that tears are not the final word. And then, by the power of God, life returned to the place that seemed lost. My beloved, perhaps there are things in your family that also seem to have stopped breathing. Tenderness, trust, warm conversations, joyful meals. But I am the God of resurrection. What you think has died, I can still breathe life into, if you do not bury it beneath the grave of despair. Therefore, do not let your mouth become a place that releases decrees of defeat. Do not say, "My family will never change." Do not say, "That person can never soften." Do not say, "Everything is already too late." You do not see all that I am doing in the hidden depths of each soul. Speak words of life. Declare that my peace will rule in your home. Confess that love will be stronger than anger, forgiveness greater than wounds, and light victorious over darkness. The tongue has the power of life and death. Proverbs 18:21. So be careful with what you sow through your words. A blessing can be a drop of water for a dry heart. A gentle word can be the key to a locked heart. A prayer can reach places your hands cannot touch. I am not telling you to pretend that everything is easy. I know patience can hurt you. Waiting can weary you. And loving someone who is hurting you is not a light thing. But I do not ask you to do it by your own strength. I will give you wisdom to know when to speak and when to remain silent. I will place within you the courage to apologize when you are wrong, and the peace not to retaliate when you are misunderstood. I will teach you to love without controlling, to hope without panic, to pray without impatience. Just as Jesus slept peacefully in the storm, not because the storm was small, but because he knew the Father's power was greater than the waves. You also must learn to rest in me. When the time comes, one word from me will be enough to make the wind and sea become still within your very home. My beloved child, look at your home with the eyes of faith. Do not only look at the words that have not healed, the habits that have not changed, the distances that have not yet been filled. See my hand quietly placing each stone of love back into place. See the angels of peace being sent to the place where you pray. See the small light burning within your heart, then spreading from you to others. I have chosen you not so you would carry everything, but so you would become one who keeps the fire of prayer, one who opens the door for my presence to enter, one who reminds the family that there is still a way to return to one another in grace. As for me and my household, we will serve the Lord. Joshua 24:15. Let that word be not merely a saying hung on a wall, but a living covenant within your heart. Then you will see that winter does not last forever. Branches that seem dry will bud again. Rooms that were once heavy will hear laughter again. Those who were once distant may learn to sit close again. Wounds that once ached silently may become testimonies of grace. I am working behind the curtain where your eyes cannot yet see, preparing encounters, timely words, quiet awakenings, and opportunities for love to begin again. You only need to remain steadfast. Light the lamp of prayer every day, even with one simple sentence: Father, place your peace in my home. I will receive that prayer as a precious seed. And when my season comes, you will reap in joy what today you sow with tears. My beloved child, there are wounds that do not bleed before the eyes of the world, yet they quietly ache in the deepest place of the soul. I know this in you. I know there were nights when you remained silent for a long time, not because you had nothing left to say, but because the pain had gone too far beyond words. You once gave your trust with complete sincerity, opened the door of your heart for someone to enter, and believed they would guard that precious thing like a treasure. Then what you received in return was not faithfulness, not protecting arms, but a cold silence, a turning away, a cut that made no sound yet was enough to make your soul tremble. You told yourself that you were fine, that time would eventually cover every memory with dust. But I know that with just one word resembling the past, one avoiding glance, one familiar situation, that pain wakes again as though it had never slept. But my child, do not hastily call your heart weak simply because it still knows how to hurt. A heart that is turned to stone is what should be feared, but a heart that still aches because it once truly loved, truly trusted, truly hoped, is a heart that is still alive under my gaze. I do not rebuke you because you trusted someone. I do not blame you because you loved with purity. What you gave with a sincere heart does not become meaningless simply because someone else did not know how to treasure it. Remember what is written: the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. I was near you in the moments when you thought you had been left most alone. When you sat in the darkness, I did not stand far away watching you endure. I bent down close beside you, placed my hand upon the place where you were broken, and quietly kept you from collapsing completely. There are betrayals that hurt you not only because you lost someone, but because they make you doubt your own ability to discern. You ask yourself why you did not see it sooner, why you trusted, why you overlooked the small signs. But, my beloved, I do not want you to live the rest of your life in self-condemnation. Another person's deceit is not your sin. The fact that you once believed in what was good is not something shameful. There are masks that only fall when the light arrives at the proper time. And there are truths that are only revealed when you have become strong enough to see them without being crushed. What you call brokenness, in my hands, can become deliverance. What you call loss, in my plan, may be a door closing to keep you from walking deeper into a place that was not meant for you. Let me teach you to see the truth with more peaceful eyes. When darkness is exposed by the light, it often hurts you before it frees you. You may see a relationship crack, a promise dissolve, a familiar face become distant, and you may think that your life is being robbed of something precious. But I say to you, not everything that leaves you is a loss. There are people who depart because they cannot walk with you into the new season. There are bonds that are undone because they have silently tightened around your soul for too long. There are doors that close not to punish you, but to protect you from a room full of toxic smoke that you once called home. Remember the story of Joseph, the beloved son who was sold by his own brothers. Joseph was not wounded by strangers, but by his own flesh and blood, by hands that should have lifted him up, but instead pushed him into the pit. He was stripped of his robe, taken into a foreign land, falsely accused, imprisoned, and for many long years it seemed as though the promise of God had been buried in chains. But my child, the pit cannot destroy what I have placed upon a life. Prison cannot lock away grace. Betrayal cannot hinder a holy plan. At the appointed time, Joseph was lifted up, not through bitter revenge, but through wisdom and forgiveness. He said to those who had harmed him, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good." Let that word enter the place where you are hurting, because I can also turn what others used to wound you into a stepping stone that leads you into greater maturity, clarity, and deeper peace. Yet, my child, forgiveness does not mean you must return to the place that made you bleed. Kindness does not require you to hand the keys of your soul back to someone who has repeatedly disregarded its holiness. I teach you to love, but I also teach you wisdom. I call you to live in gentleness, but I do not call you to become a place where falsehood can trample. When I clear a space around you, do not rush to fill it with old faces simply because you fear loneliness. Let that emptiness be sanctified. Let me sow into it new connections. People who carry truth in their eyes, faithfulness in their words, and peace in their presence. For it is written, "A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for a time of adversity." I know who can walk with you without wearing down your soul. I know who is sent to lift you up and not pull you down. Now, do not grieve over foundations that have cracked. A house built on sand may look beautiful on sunny days, but when heavy rain comes, when strong winds rise, when the waters beat against the walls, the truth is revealed. You once placed your safety upon human promises, upon unstable presence, upon sweet words without roots. Now I am bringing you back to the unshakable rock. As my son taught, everyone who hears my words and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. You see, the storm does not only destroy, it also reveals what is truly lasting. And if something collapses when truth touches it, do not weep forever over it, because it was never strong enough to shelter you in the next storm. I know the process of healing is not always gentle. There are days when you feel strong, but there are also days when one small memory makes your heart tighten. Do not fear those days. Healing is not forgetting everything completely. Healing is remembering without being chained by the pain anymore. Healing is when you can look at what once shattered you and realize it did not kill you. It did not take away your dignity. It could not steal you from my hand. I am teaching you to distinguish between attachment and dependence, between love and clinging, between mercy and self-destruction. I am giving you new eyes to recognize what nourishes the soul, and what only wears a familiar garment while quietly exhausting you. Therefore, my beloved, rise up not in bitterness, but in clarity. Keep walking, not with a closed heart, but with a heart guarded by my peace. Do not let the betrayal of one person cause you to doubt all the goodness I still want to send to you. Do not let one painful season make you reject the entire garden of blessing ahead. I will not only remove what is false, I will replace it with what is true. I will not only untie the cords that suffocated you, I will lead you into clear freedom. I will not only show you who does not belong on your journey, I will bring people who know how to treasure the light within you. Trust me in this cleansing, because my hand does not tear down in order to abandon, but tears down in order to rebuild. And what I build upon the rock of truth, no wind of betrayal will ever be able to collapse again. My beloved child, let your heart become like an open vessel beneath the fountain of living water, because I want to pour into you a joy that does not come from outward things, that does not depend on the praise of people, and that does not tremble before changing circumstances. There are days when you look around and see only opposing winds, hear only anxiety knocking at the door, and feel the weight of responsibility pressing upon your shoulders. But my child, in the midst of all these things, I am still there. And because I am still there, your hope has never run dry. The joy I give is not a pretend smile that hides wounds, nor is it fragile optimism that disappears when night falls. That joy is a holy fire quietly burning in the hidden place. A gentle yet powerful confession that says, even if storms arise, your Father still reigns, still leads, and is still working all things together for the good of those who love Him. Remember, joy in me does not require you to deny pain. I do not tell you to call darkness light, nor do I ask you to act as though tears have never fallen. I am the one who sees the full truth of you, from the cracks no one knows about to the prayers you have not yet managed to speak. But I teach you something deeper. The greatest reality of your life is not what is frightening you, but my presence covering you. When Scripture says, "The joy of the Lord is your strength," that word was not only for the people of old standing before broken walls, but also for you today amid the parts of life that have not yet been rebuilt. My joy is not weak. It has power to lift the head of the weary, strengthen trembling knees, and rekindle faith in the one who thought they had reached the end of the road. Therefore, my child, do not wait for everything to be perfect before you rejoice. If you wait until there are no more trials, no more lack, no more questions, no more wounds, then you will hand the key of your heart over to circumstances. I want you to learn a higher freedom, to rejoice while still waiting, to sing while the door has not yet opened, to give thanks while you have not yet seen the full answer. Paul and Silas were once imprisoned, their feet in chains, their backs still aching from beatings, yet at midnight they prayed and sang praises to me. Then the earth shook, the chains fell, and the prison doors opened wide. Do you see? There are doors that do not open through complaining, but open when you place joy and worship above fear. When you rejoice in me, you are not escaping reality. You are inviting a higher reality to enter it. There are forces that want to sow sorrow into your heart, that want to make you believe your life is only a series of days to endure, that want you to bow your head like someone who has no portion in the promise. But I did not create you to be trained by darkness in how to see life. I created you so my light could pass through you. Joy is a holy weapon. My child, it confuses the whispers of despair, dissolves the heavy atmosphere, and reminds your soul that you do not belong to fear. When you choose joy, even through one small word of thanksgiving, you are building an altar in the middle of the battlefield. When you say, "Father, you are still good," even while your heart still trembles, you are placing your feet upon the holy ground of faith. When you lift your eyes away from what is lacking and look to the one who is always sufficient, the atmosphere around you begins to change. Because wherever my presence is, life begins to rise. But my beloved, I do not call you into joy merely so that you may feel better. I call you into joy so that you may have strength to step into the purpose I have placed upon your life. You were not born merely to survive each day, to avoid being hurt, or to sigh over unfinished things. You were created for a meaningful journey, for the good works I prepared in advance, for encounters where your love may become soothing oil, for dark places where the light within you may shine. Scripture says, "You are the light of the world," and I want you to receive that word not as a burden, but as dignity. Light does not need to shout in order to be light. It only needs to be present, faithful, pure, and steadfast. In the same way, your life can become a lamp for others, not because you have never been hurt, but because I have healed you in the midst of pain. Do not think that my purpose for you is far away, reserved only for those who are stronger, holier, or more prominent than you. I often begin with very small things: a grateful heart, a gentle word, a decision to forgive, a day when you do not surrender to fear, a step you take even before you see the whole road. When Moses stood before the burning bush, he saw himself as clumsy, lacking words, and lacking strength. But I did not ask him whether he was perfect. I asked him what was in his hand. An ordinary staff, when placed in obedience, became a sign before Pharaoh and opened a way through the Red Sea. My child, do not despise the small thing I have placed in your hand. A life that knows how to rejoice and give thanks can become a powerful staff, opening a way through seas of anxiety that you thought could never be crossed, and so that this joy will not be extinguished. Let gratitude become your breath. Do not give thanks only when you receive something great. Learn to recognize grace in ordinary things. When you wake up and still have breath, that is a gift. When light touches your eyes, that is a reminder that my mercies are still new every morning. When you can still hear my voice inviting you back into peace, that is evidence that I have not stopped pursuing you with love. Gratitude does not make problems disappear immediately, but it changes your eyes. It helps you see not only what is still lacking, but also what is being given. Not only the closed door, but also the hand that is guiding. Not only the tear, but also the one who is wiping it away. Understand this. Gratitude is one way you tell your soul that I am still at work. When you give thanks, you are not denying what is still not right. You are declaring that what is not right does not have the right to define your God. When you give thanks, your heart gradually leaves the land of scarcity and enters the pasture of abundance. Disappointment is no longer the only voice within you, because hope begins to speak. Fear no longer rules like a king, because faith is invited back onto the throne of the heart. Scripture teaches, give thanks in all circumstances, not because all circumstances are pleasant, but because in all circumstances I can still reveal my faithfulness, and not one of your tears is meaningless in the hands of the one who knows how to turn ashes into beauty. Therefore, today I gently call you to rise, not by your own strength, but by the joy that comes from me. Let your lips find their song again, even if at first it is only a whisper. Let your hands open, no longer gripping anxiety tightly, but receiving the peace I give. Let your heart learn to see life through the eyes of grace, where you once saw lack. Look for traces of care, where you once saw delay. Trust that there is preparation, where you once saw failure. Wake to see me plant seeds of wisdom. You were not created to live in the chains of sorrow, but in the freedom of my children. You were not created to hide in fear, but to walk as one who is loved, called, and sent. My beloved child, my joy will be strength for you. Gratitude will be the key that opens your vision wider, and the purpose I have placed within you will not be buried by dark seasons. Live as one who knows that your Father is more than enough. Give thanks before you see everything fully. Rejoice before the wall is finished. Walk forward before every cloud has disappeared. I am with you in every breath, every decision, every new day. And when you choose to rejoice in me, you will discover that circumstances may change around you, but your soul has been anchored in the one who never changes.